It's the divisional round against the Kansas City Chiefs for the Houston Texans. Football's best team stands in the way of the Texans going where they've never gone before, which is an AFC championship game. The Chiefs, a tough task. Just a month ago, the Texans came up short in Kansas City. This matchup, even more difficult. Let's go over the advantages that each team has in this matchup. We know there's some inherent advantages that the Chiefs possess. The Texans have some as well. Let's go through it, starting with the offense. Quarterback, running back, pass catchers, offensive line, and special teams. If the Chiefs have the advantage, they get a check mark on their side. If the Texans have the advantage, they get a check mark on their side. Let's start with the pass catchers. The best pass catcher in this game is Nico Collins. I'm not sure why more teams haven't gone about just eliminating Nico Collins with extra attention. And even when they try to do that sometimes, the Texans are still able to find ways to get Nico Collins open and get him the football. He's incredible. After he catches the ball, you've seen the yards after catch in his 2-year stretch here that he's in the middle of excellent football. He is fun to watch. When he gets the ball in his hands, he can get you some bonus yards. He's not just a catch and fall down guy. Collins, the best pass catcher in this matchup. But everything after Collins on the Texans side, it's pretty unimpressive. The tight ends have been a little disappointing this season. Obviously, Tank Dell and Stefon Diggs' injuries have weakened the wide receiver room, but Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie, Robert Woods, Jared Wayne, that's not a lot to write home about when it comes to the Texans. And then when you look over at the Kansas City Chiefs, they've got talent, they've got experience, they've got Travis Kelce at the tight end spot, plus good backups. Man, the Chiefs are loaded at the pass catcher spot. If it was peak Travis Kelce, I'd probably still go and give them a third check mark, but they're going to get 2 check marks in the pass catcher category. I like Hollywood Brown getting utilized after being hurt for most of the year. Xavier Worthy is a dynamic speed element. Oh, by the way, DeAndre Hopkins is on the Kansas City Chiefs as well. And then they've got depth guys behind those guys that we mentioned to help out and that they trust as well. So 2 check marks for the pass catchers, almost 3 for the Kansas City pass catchers. Let's dump down to the offensive line. Look, the Texans are not winning many offensive line matchups, and they're not winning this one. The Chiefs are going to get the offensive line advantage in this one. They're going to get a check mark. It's not quite 2 check marks because the Chiefs have had some hiccups on their offensive line. They've got guys coming back from injury. Maybe there's a little rust to knock off, but they were fantastic the last time against the Texans. The Texans had a pretty good pressure percentage, over 35%, converted just 1 of those into a sack in that matchup a month ago against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they did have 2 get wiped out by bogus calls from the officials, but just 1 sack, one of the lowest sack percentages of the season for the Texans in that last matchup. And the Texans offensive line, my goodness, they've got a tough task trying to slow down what Kansas City has. They are a little banged up. Whoever's starting at right guard is not going to be 100%, but they've had the most success and looked the most competent with this version of the offensive line they're going to put in there, but it's not good enough to get a check mark. The Texans win special teams. They allow the least punt return yards in all of football. They're pretty good at getting kickoffs. Tommy Townsend has experience in this place, though his overall yards average is not as high as Matt Araiza, the Kansas City Chiefs punter. Townsend has down far more inside the 20. He's one of the best in football at that. And again, the experience factor in this building is a positive for him as well. Texans win the special teams advantage, though I would tell you amongst all the check marks that we go down, the special teams one has a little bit less impact. Oh, by the way, the kickers, pretty much the same kicker, pretty much the same make percentage. Harrison Butker's experience in Arrowhead is a big positive for him, but it's not enough to turn things in favor of the Chiefs in this one. So the Texans win the special teams advantage, though I don't know that the special teams advantage matters as much as some of these other advantages that these teams are going to be able to go through. The running back position is a fascinating one. The Chiefs have a couple of options in Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, and Hunt really got going in the latter part of the game against the Texans. Last time he averaged, I think, close to 5 yards a carry in the previous matchup. Pacheco healthy after suffering an injury and missing portion of this season. Joe Mixon coming into this matchup not healthy. had an ankle pop up in the middle of the week on the injury report, didn't even practice in the final practice of the week. I feel like you'd have to cut Joe Mixon's entire leg off to keep him from playing in this matchup. So ankle injury or no ankle injury, I like Mixon the most of all these running backs. Neither team's going to have an easy time running the football, but I like Joe Mixon's ability to impact the game and the experience that he's had in the playoffs against Kansas City as well. We're going to go with a small check mark advantage for the Texans on this one. Let's pop up to the quarterback spot. Now, this one, look, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I know what the stats say. He's not the best. He's not playing the best. Mahomes is incredible in the divisional round. He is feeling seemingly unstoppable at the divisional round. We're still going to give a check mark to CJ Stroud, though. Stroud got going last week. We saw a little supernova Stroud. The fumbled snap turned into a big play. That ignited the offense and transformed what CJ Stroud brings to the table for the Texans at the quarterback spot. He got a check mark last week because I believed he could put the cape on, turn into Superman for a stretch. Well, he can put the cape on and turn into Superman for a stretch here. Plus, the matchup against Kansas City last time, one of the best drives of the season was against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. It was an efficient, well put together drive. The Texans were able to put a touchdown on the board. Unfortunately, in that previous matchup, Stroud had a couple of inefficiencies, ran out of bounds for a sack, threw a couple of interceptions, one of them taking points off the board for the Texans, making it easy for the Chiefs to put points on the board with a field goal right before halftime. He can't do that in this matchup if the Texans are hoping to have a shot to pull the upset off. Now, how many check marks are the Chiefs getting for Patrick Mahomes at quarterback? Well, he's the best quarterback in football, so they're going to get a check mark there. The experience factor, I feel like, is significant. Mahomes has seen so much. He's played so much football. He's played so much playoff football. Big check mark advantage at the quarterback spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. So when you factor in Mahomes' extra advantage, the pass catcher's extra advantage, the Chiefs end up with 6 check marks over here on offense, and you add in special teams, the Texans with 4 check marks heading out of offense and special teams. But the defense, maybe the Texans have a little something for the Chiefs over when it comes to defense, but it's an impressive Kansas City Chiefs offensive operation. I know they haven't put up a ton of points. I know they don't really blow people out, but they're efficient. They're excellent with how they operate their offense. They are a tough team to stop. The Texans will have a tough time. And from the Texans standpoint, they've had some hiccups and some issues on offense. Post improv play last week, really good on offense. The Texans will have to bring that version of their offense to Arrowhead. Let's flip it over to the defense now. Real quick before we get to the defense, my friends at PrizePicks want to hand you $50. You play your first 5, you get $50 thanks to my friends at PrizePicks. Use my code Stoots when you sign up. Links in the description down below. We'll put a PrizePicks entry for this game together at the end of the video, so stay tuned. All right, let's pop this thing over to defense. The Texans and the Chiefs, when you look at the defense and the CS at the bottom for the coaching staff, the Chiefs bring over 6 check marks from offense and special teams. What a horrible 6. The Chiefs bring over 6 check marks. Okay, 6 is just hard to draw with a mouse. And the Texans bring over 4 check marks from offense and special teams. Let's go to the cornerbacks, where I feel like the Texans have a significant advantage. Look, I like Trent McDuffie. He's very good. He was an excellent draft pick by the Chiefs. He's developed into one of the best. I just feel like the 2 cornerbacks that the Texans trust and start in Derek Stingley, all-pro Sting as the teammates call him, and Kamari Lassiter are worth a check each in this one. McDuffie, very good. Sting, very good. Kamari Lassiter, very good. I like the Texans matchup when it compares to the Kansas City Chiefs matchup at cornerback. So Stingley and Kamari Lassiter, how do they affect this game? Well, obviously, you've got to be able to pull down an interception if you get an opportunity at it. Mahomes, Andy Reid, that offense, very efficient with how they do things. So you've got to make the most of it when you do get an opportunity, and there's not going to be that many opportunities. They love to throw into space and not challenge or have to challenge guys in man-to-man situations or one-on-one situations. But when you get an opportunity to challenge the Kansas City Chiefs and come down with an interception, you've got to come down with a pick if you get the opportunity. Plus, Stingley and Lassiter, big, helpful pieces in stopping the run or corralling Mahomes should he escape and use his legs in this matchup. So the tackling from the cornerback spot, a big plus for the Texans over on their side. McDuffie, very good. Obviously, the Chiefs pulled down 2 interceptions on CJ Stroud in the last matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City about a month ago. They're a good, solid secondary. And they're a good, solid secondary. I'm going to go ahead and give them a check on the safety side, but also going to give the Texans a check on the safety side. Eric Murray playing well right now at the safety spot for the Texans. That could get dangerous if Andy Reid and Mahomes start finding him from an offensive perspective. But a pick 6 last week against the Los Angeles Chargers, and he hasn't been picked on at the safety spot like I expected him to when he took over the starting role at safety because of injuries to Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie. So when he took over that starting spot and started playing a lot more, I thought teams would pick on him more. They haven't. He had the big pick 6 last week. He's been a solid player. He helps out in the run stopping as well. So that's a big positive for the Texans. Kalen Bullock, again, changed the name. Used to be Bullock. Now it's Bullock. Kalen Bullock, one of the best rookie safeties in all of football. Incredible ball hawk ability. Got a little iffy last week with the Lad McConkey big play. The Chargers had the big touchdown run. Felt like Bullock maybe didn't play that correctly. Then you flip it over to the Chiefs side. Justin Reed, experience. Steve Spagnuolo puts those safeties in a position to succeed. I'd be foolish to just say big advantage Texans. So I'll say a check mark for each side. The linebacking situation. I like the Texans linebackers. I like Azeez Al-Shaair. He didn't play in this first matchup. He is a difference maker from an organization of the defense standpoint, execution of what the Texans want to do on defense. If you've seen the clip, he called out some of the things that the Chargers were getting ready to do. He is a brilliant defensive mind on the field for the Texans, and he didn't play in the previous matchup. The Texans obviously have Henry To'o, Christian Harris. Those two, To'o has played a ton of good football this year. Harris has the athleticism that you'd like from that linebacker spot that can mix and match and put some of the players that they like the most in those matchups. If they want to put 3 linebackers on the field, if they want to put 2, Azeez Al-Shaair and Henry To'o, solid players that they can trust. And again, Al-Shaair didn't play in the previous matchup. How much of a difference does he make? I guess we'll find out when these two teams square off at Arrowhead Saturday afternoon. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs have a really solid linebacking room that has played not only a lot of football, but a lot of football together and a lot of playoff football together. They are really, really good. I like this Chiefs linebacking room. I like it enough that they're close to getting a second check mark. Okay, that's how good they are. Nick Bolton is incredible. Their key linebacker that they trust to do everything. He's been fantastic for a few years now for the Kansas City Chiefs. This was almost a 2-check mark for the Chiefs, but their linebacking group is really good. And the linebackers for the Chiefs, they'll be tested a little bit more with CJ Stroud's legs being an extra element that you've got to account for. The linebackers are one of the main reasons you can't run on the Chiefs as well. They're very good at that. Defensive line, Chris Jones alone gets himself a check mark. He's fantastic. He's one of the best defensive tackles in all of football. He's very, very good. He's tough to stop. Bobby Slowick was asked about stopping him. He said the entire defense starts with Chris Jones, and they do an excellent job, the Chiefs do, of adjusting to how they think you're going to play Chris Jones to try to account for him. And I thought that was an interesting comment from Bobby Slowick about how the Chiefs know you prepare for Chris Jones and then have a change up to how you try to approach your Chris Jones plan. That was an interesting one that stuck out to me this week from the Texans offensive coordinator. Jones, very good. Obviously, George Karlaftis is a solid pass rusher off the edge. Man, this Texans defensive line feels like it is playing at an incredible level. Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, Danico Autry last week with the incredible performance that he's had. Derek Barnett with what he's brought to the table over the course of the season. This defensive line for the Texans, I like it more as a whole, in totality, than what the Chiefs' defensive line is. Chris Jones, the best player. I tell you, the next three best players are all Texans. Best player, Chris Jones, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, Danico Autry, the next three best when you smash these two defensive lines together and start picking it out. Autry's playing incredible right now. He's finally that third extra game-changing piece from the edge that the Texans had hoped he was when they signed him in free agency to add to Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson at the defensive end spot. Last week, he had the sack of Justin Herbert, though you got to be a little bit more careful with Patrick Mahomes than you were with Herbert. The officials love to get those flags out of the pocket pretty quick when you breathe too hard. On Patrick Mahomes, he had the blocked punt, the blocked extra point as well. So Autry is playing at a super high level right now, to go along with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, who are probably the best pass rush duo in all of football. The Texans get 2 check marks. The Chiefs get 1 check mark. The coaching staff, look, D'Amico Ryans has had some impressive defensive game plans this year. He's had some moments where his defense has been a game changer. And when you think back to the playoffs last year, the playoffs last week, D'Amico Ryans was very ready for the Cleveland Browns in a second opportunity, a second crack at them after they had smoked them the first time. And he was ready for a Chargers team that, though he hadn't seen a lot, was an efficient team. His defense made them inefficient with the game plan. He's got to be excellent against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's got to have everything in his bag of tricks available to try to stop, slow down, and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. It is a tough challenge. I believe the defense is up to it. Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator for the Texans, he doesn't inspire a lot of confidence right now, though he had a pretty solid game last week. The timing of some of the things that he does, not great. The wide receiver screens the last time these two teams squared off, that wasn't fun to watch. And then you flip it over. And you think about Steve Spagnuolo, an elite defensive mind in this league. Then you think about Andy Reid, an elite offensive mind in this league. And then you think about the experience that the Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff has. I have no choice but to put 3 check marks over on the side for the Kansas City Chiefs. So they get 3 check marks. They're a really overall excellent football team. They're the best football team in all the land when it comes to the win-loss record. They've gutted some things out. And Andy Reid, with the long break to get ready for their playoff opponent, to get ready for this matchup, to have his team healthy. I know it's a 20-ish plus day break between playing real football games for the Chiefs. If there's a coach that I trust to not have that be a big issue for his team, that's Andy Reid and his coaching staff. So when you add in what the Kansas City Chiefs had, 7 additional check marks for them to bring them to 13 in the check mark advantage exercise. The Texans, they add 7 here, and that brings them to 11 on the day. I bet you didn't think it was going to be this close when you think about the quarterback, the extra advantage that the Chiefs have there, as well as the coaching staff, the extra advantage that the Chiefs have there. That's 4 extra check marks to give it a 13-11 advantage for the Kansas City Chiefs. What say you? Did I get one wrong here? Was there a position that I should have given a longer look to? Was there one that should have been a little bit closer from a check mark perspective? Let me know in the comments section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget, SNL, myself, and Landry Locker from the Locker Room. We got that channel as well. That link's in the description down below. Of course, the link to our friends at PrizePicks is there as well. We'll put that PrizePicks entry together at the end of this video. I'll tell you how to get the free $50 from PrizePicks. Man, divisional playoff game. There were times this season where it felt like the Texans weren't going to be there, and to rematch against the team that they played pretty close a month ago, it's going to be a tough task. Again, they're going to need to be near perfect to overcome some of the advantages that the Chiefs have in this matchup. We just went through them, and we'll see them play out on the field Saturday afternoon in Kansas City on Arrowhead's field. It's going to be fantastic. It should be a very, very good football team. These two teams are closer than you think, though it's going to take a Herculean effort for the Texans to pull this one off. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy playoffs to you and to yours. I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon. I told you we put a PrizePicks entry together. PrizePicks is the best and easiest way to play daily fantasy. When you sign up with my code STOOTS, STOOTS, link in the description down below, play your first $5, you're going to get $50 headed your way thanks to my friends at PrizePicks. You don't even have to win your first entry. Just play your first 5 and you'll get $50 headed your way when you use my code STOOTS, STOOTS, when you get signed up. Let's put that PrizePicks entry together. PrizePicks, you're just predicting more or less on given stats. And they've got so many different sports, from college basketball to NBA to hockey and, of course, football. That's my favorite. Let's go over the little calendar here and let's get this Texans game. Let's get the stats here from this Texans game. All right, right away, I feel like Nico Collins is getting in the end zone. He is the passing attack for the Texans. So Nico Collins in the end zone on this one. So we're going to go more than half a rushing/receiving touchdown. Let's go over to the rushing yards in this one. I'm not actually picking a running back. How about more rushing yards for CJ Stroud? He got the feet moving and grooving in the game against the Los Angeles Chargers. So I believe that's going to continue in this one. These are both really impressive defenses that each offense is going to have to go against. So when we start thinking about the different kicking opportunities that we have, Harrison Butker, 8 kicking points. What is that? 2 field goals, 2 extra points. Okay, feels like the Chiefs could get more than that. Heck, if he kicks 3 field goals, we get there. Same with Kaimi Fairbairn. 2 field goals and an extra point. Surely the Texans can bring that to the table. Maybe you want to go with point after attempts. Maybe you want to go with the shortest field goal made. I'm going with the kicking points. I like both of these kickers. Actually, you know what? Let's go field goal yards combo. They can hit some big ones, some long ones, 125 and a half. Let's go more on the kicking for that. And then let's go to the sacks. Okay, not a lot of sacks in that last matchup from the Texans, but Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter getting home. I feel like no sacks last time from those two. They're going to get home in this one, and we're going to flex play this. If we get all of them right, we're going to have a big day, but we don't have to get all of them right. We get 4 out of our 5 correct, and we're still going to win a little bit. That's how easy it is to put together a PrizePicks lineup. We're putting that one together. We're going big here. It's the divisional round. Let's try to 14 times our entry with my friends at PrizePicks. Once again, when you sign up using my code STOOTS, STOOTS, use the code at the link in the description down below. The link should autofill the code. If it doesn't, STOOTS. And when you sign up, you play your first $5, which we put a $5 entry in right there. You could play that as your first one. You're going to get $50 headed your way. Why? Because PrizePicks is the best. It's the easiest. It is the gold standard when it comes to daily fantasy. Get signed up. Visit my friends at PrizePicks. Get $50 headed your way and use my code STOOTS. It's because PrizePicks is the best and easiest way to play daily fantasy. Appreciate you watching.